Eat fat is the revolutionary advice of Dr. McConus.
Doctor, eat fat and grow slim. That's a new theory, isn't it?
Yes, it's new now, today, but it wasn't new in history. In the days when we had no agriculture and there was no starch in our food, no potatoes, no bread, no cereals, everybody had to live by hunting on meat and fat, and in those days I believe that they were all slim. And now if we stop eating these new foods, so-called, then we will get our weight down back to normal.
Well, Doctor, what's the answer to the fat man's problem?
Well, his answer is to stop eating starch and sugar and eat everything else as much as he likes, and he'll still get slim. But it will not make him more slim than he should be.
We've evolved over millions of years to store carbs. You very rarely urinate carbs out of your body. We have a filtration system that saves them because the carbohydrates are immediately converted into fat if you have excess. Any excess carb is going to be stored in adipocytes for the most part, insulin driven. And if you're eating a lot of carbs, you're going to definitely, and poorly nutritious carbs, you're going to store fat from that. You don't get fat eating fat. People always make that mistake. They always think, this is high fat. No. Fats are either burned or excreted. It's very hard to store energy as fat unless you have the glycerol backbones, but that requires energy as well.
All right, today, so I'm just going to talk to you one hack that will fast track your weight loss, your fat loss, because when we talk about weight, I'm not just talking about fat, I'm talking about muscle, bone, and things like that. And those are the things that you want to keep. So I'm going to talk to you about one easy hack that will fast track your fat loss, but will also give you many other benefits, including hormone production, circulation, and even muscle building and fitness building. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about breath work. Now, when it comes to losing fat, where does it go? We're talking about mass. So if you want to lose 10 kilos, all right, just a round number. Now, we don't actually burn fat. Now, there's a couple of methods that we use to get rid of fat. Now, out of 10 kilos of fat, 8.4 of that we actually breathe out through CO2, carbon dioxide, because that is actually weight. And we can also get rid of some through water vapor as well. The rest of it, the 1.6 kilos, is turned into water. So you either sweat it out, tears, or you urinate it out or defecate it out. So the body is in other ways. All right, so how does this process work? Well, again, this is about a combustion process that is called respiration. Respiration also means to breathe. So when it comes to the carbon dioxide, when you breathe in oxygen, right? So where does the carbon come from? Well, it comes from your food. So what happens is in the mitochondria, when we break down food into energy, molecules into energy, we produce ATP. So there's three things that happens with respiration. The oxygen mixes with the carbon that we've just eaten, the food. That's where you get carbohydrates, because they are basically just carbon molecules hydrated with water. They're carbohydrates. Now, of course, that's in all food. The oxygen mixed with the carbon, that gives us three things. It gives us carbon dioxide as a waste product. It gives us water, easy water, and it gives us energy. It gives us lots of energy. So now the difference being like carbohydrates, glucose, it's a very quick energy source, and this process will happen very quick. And that's why you get hungry, because it's not a sustainable energy source. So you have to keep eating more and more carbohydrates. And the problem with that is that when you eat a lot of carbohydrates, the liver produces fat from glucose. So then you get fat cells will fill up because of the fat produced in the liver. In the absence of carbohydrates, we burn fats. Now the body can't hold when the liver gets fats. When you eat fatty acids, your liver produces hormones. There's a difference. As lipids produce hormones like D3, testosterone, IGF hormones ranging from 1 to 6. So that's a good thing. But when you eat fat with carbohydrates, the liver will turn those carbohydrates into fat. Then those fats will be stored in the fat cells. So breaking it down, the fatty acids molecule is much longer. So it takes longer to break down. So you're not hungry all the time. So you eat less often, but you're satiated. That's why the fat cells satiate you so well. Of course, we also need the fatty acids for our brain, for hormone production, and for other things. And I've spoken about that too when we're talking about circulating the lymphatic system and things like that. Ketones, things like that as well. So when you produce these carbon dioxide molecules, what do you do with the carbon dioxide? Well, you breathe it out. That's how we get rid of it. Now, the energy that's produced, it weighs nothing. It's not quantifiable. So that's why calories do not count, right? Because you can't weigh them. You can't weigh calories. Now, of course, from fatty acids, you get more energy. So you're going to have sustained energy throughout the day, but you can't weigh it. All right. So what you can weigh, though, in mass, is we take in mass and we exhale mass, all right, or we urinate or defecate. But the energy we use. So when it comes to how to get rid of fat, you breathe it out, all right? You breathe most of it out. 90% of it comes out when you breathe. So why is breath work so important? Well, obviously, when you, for example, do low oxygen tension, like breath holds through breath work, you produce HCFs, which I've spoken about before in other breath work videos. Now that stimulates the kidney to produce EPO. Now EPO is a hormone that stimulates what has many benefits actually, but it also stimulates the bone marrow to produce more red blood cells. So then when you breathe in, breathe deep and breathe properly throughout the day, then you saturate those red blood cells with oxygen. It's the respiratory system. The respiratory system of the mitochondria breaks that down into energy and then makes the carbon dioxide and the easy water, which we then either defecate, urinate out, or we breathe the CO2 out. So breath work, if you can do deep breath work and then breathe properly throughout the day, deep, breathing through the nose, and this will fast track your fat loss. Now, this is great benefits for the sedentary person, the absolute beginner, all the way up to just trying to improve or give yourself the edge if you're an elite athlete. So breath work is the way to go. It is my number one hack next to diet. A high fat diet means that you're not storing fat to start with. And what fats that you do have, you breathe out through breath work. All right, guys, that's my number one tip for fat loss. And I will talk to you again soon. See ya.